All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, closer to evening now. I know. I'm out of practice a little bit, but that's okay. Tonight's show, to celebrate the return of Triple D, uh, is to talk about running for office and why you should do it. Back in 2020, I decided to run for United States Congress, which, in retrospect, let's face it, realistically, I didn't stand much of a chance. I didn't have a war chest, a whole bunch of other stuff. But, which, for those not familiar with the terminology, a war chest is your campaign funds, what you use to run for office. I learned a whole lot. I'm going to break it down for you, but I really want to address the elephant in the room, which is the belief that most people have that only the rich can win a seat. Only the rich should run for office. Crap like that. It's not true. And the more regular people that we have on a ballot, the more regular people get elected. I've talked about it before. Primaries are probably the single most important factor in determining who's going to be your representative in that particular area, that governmental seat. Government is scary, especially as a regular person, a young person. You look at it and you're like, oh my God. And it can be very intimidating. The reasons for running for office, though, vastly outnumber the reasons why you shouldn't. Sure, there are reasons why nobody wants to do it. There are reasons why we have people who have been in office since before my adult children were born. It's not an easy thing, but anything worth doing isn't necessarily easy, or something like that. There's a saying, but I can address some of the federal questions, but primarily I'm going to focus on running for office in the state of Indiana. You'll need to check your Secretary of State's office for your state, and that's super easy to do. I'm going to walk you through it. So, whatever state you live in. So, for example, let's say you live in Texas, right? So you go Texas Secretary of State, right? Since I live in Indiana, Indiana Secretary of State. Now, when you first, I'm going to actually do it from the beginning, just so you guys can see. It's a little bit of navigation, but since I live in Indiana, we're going to use Indiana. So I go Indiana Secretary of State. There it is. Click on that. And our Secretary of State is Diego Morales. So when you click here, it's usually your state letter.gov and then SOS being Secretary of State. So this takes us to the homepage for the Secretary of State for Diego Morales. I have my own things with Diego. That's irrelevant right now. You go here, and up at the top left, you'll see menu. Click that, and you're going to go to the election division. This is going to be pretty much the same across all of the states. What you're looking for is candidate information. That's what you want. You want candidate information. And this is going to tell you, this is your candidate guide. Almost all states have a very simplified form of giving you the information that you need. If you look here, 2026 candidate forms, there's candidacy filings, declaration of candidacy. You look at this and you're like, holy crap, this is a lot of stuff, right? But the campaign candidate guides are generally not much changes, except the dates. The dates are the big key factors, which we'll talk about later. But there are a couple of things that you're going to want to be aware of. Generally, when you're running for a local office, the rules are a little little more stringent actually than they are for federal office for who can run. Federal office is actually pretty simple to run for. The things like, congressman, senator, stuff like that. For your local offices, your local area may have different requirements. Google is your friend in that particular regard. You can learn a lot as to what the requirements are. But your local, I live in LaPorte County, Indiana. So I'll go to LaPorte. It's weird here because the city of LaPorte is 2 words, but the county of LaPorte is 1 single word. So I got to catch myself. LaPorte County elections. So there's actually an election board, but most of the information that you're going to find is going to be your county clerk. And in my case, my county clerk is Heather Stevens, which she's awesome, by the way. But you can learn a lot by going there. So we go LaPorte County. Clerk. Make sure, but above all else, you have to be registered to vote. So click this, go to voter registration. Oh, help if I show you guys. So I went to clerk of court for LaPorte County, and you click voter registration. Make sure you're registered to vote. You can do it online. You can also go to the election division, and there are usually, this will show you your districts and how the districts are split up. There's meetings, the election calendar brochure, whatever your county is. This is just for my county. This is LaPorte County, Indiana. But wherever you live, you should be able to go to your election division and find an election calendar. This shows all of the dates, the critically important dates, especially as a candidate, for what you need to know. This shows the deadline for any candidate to voluntarily withdraw from the general election ballot. You're going to want to look at this. This is a super easy reference guide, and it's going to tell you a lot of really important stuff. For example, October 5th, voter registration ends. Deadline at voter registration offices close of business for a voter to apply to register or transfer registration, or at midnight for a voter to complete and submit a voter registration application. Now, this is for the primary, I believe. No, this would normally be for November. Let's see. And then you have Tuesday, October 6th, first day that a voter may early vote in the office of the circuit clerk. This is for 2026, though. So let's see. Usually goes, can be kind of weird. It's meant to be folded up, so when you unfold it, it's easy to read. So you got to look at the dates. All right, so page 2 is where I was looking. All right, so January 7th, 2026. This is, first day, a declaration of candidacy for major political party primary nomination or election as a Democratic Party precinct committeeman or state convention delegate of either major party at the primary may be filed. Now, there are tons of offices to run for out there. I recommend you look into it, learn, run. Whatever appeals to you. County council, city council, state representative, mayor, whatever. In your area, whatever you think needs improvement. School board, always need people running for school board. But Wednesday, January 7th, that's the first day that you can register as a candidate for one of the 2 major political parties. Or if you want to run as the precinct committeeman, that is going to start off really basic. Precinct committeemen or committee people, or however you want to say it, because, you know, it's the age of political correctness, but it's literally called a committeeman. The Democrat Party is having their precinct elections in 2026. The Republican Party had theirs in 2024. Every 4 years, so off years, right? Okay. Move beyond that. I did a whole video on why you should run for that and why it's important. But first day to file a declaration of intent to be a write-in candidate for the general election, not primary, but general. You can do it as early as January 7th. Pay attention to the deadlines for everything, especially finance reports. I'm going to tell you, when you run for office, the most complicated thing, the scariest part of it, is campaign finance. It's not that bad. The piece of advice that I can offer to everyone: track everything, note everything, make a little note every time you spend $1, make a note of it. Every time you get a donation, make a note of it. There are very strict rules on what you can and cannot spend money on, and there are very strict rules about who you can accept money from. You can't take money from foreign nationals. Pay attention to this calendar. This is I would say, the most important thing, especially when it comes to campaign finance, because some areas will nail you to the wall. They will absolutely come after you. And usually when you run for office, you're going to run under one of two political parties. That's just how it is. If you want to run it as an independent, the rules are going to be a little different, but that's just for dates. That said, someone from the other political party can come after you. I'm going to tell you the most important things that I learned is, for example, when you get your yard signs, you're probably going to want yard signs. Make sure there's a disclaimer at the bottom. When you have handouts or flyers or stuff like that, you're going to want paid for by at the bottom. It's critically important. Also, you're going to want to make sure that you pay attention to font sizes. It has to be a certain size. It can seem really, really daunting. It can seem like, oh my goodness, this is a lot. Just take some time and read stuff. Look into it a little bit. It is well worth it, because look, guys, we complain all the time about, oh God, this is who I have to choose from. This is who's on the ballot. Yeah, because you didn't run, because I didn't run, because this person didn't, our neighbors aren't running for office. Why? Do we really have to ask? Look at today's climate, right? Whether you're a Democrat, because let's say you're an old school JFK Democrat, right? The so-called party of the working class, the way that it used to be. A lot of Republicans are going to think that you're for this far left ideology. Let's say you're a regular, what they call a lunch pail Republican, a working class Republican. A lot of Democrats now think you're automatically hardcore MAGA this and right wing that. Unfortunately, that's our political climate today. All we can do is get out there and try to change the image that's out there. I hope you guys are. I hope the video quality and audio quality are okay. We moved. We're trying a little bit different setup. I won't focus on too much of that, but let me know. I'd appreciate it, how it's coming across. Let me go back to the Secretary of State's website, because I want to show you guys, again, very, very daunting, but over here is candidate information and then campaign finance. If you're running for a statewide office, or I believe you can do it also for county, but I'm not positive on that. I only ran for U.S. Congress and state rep. For statewide offices, you can do all your stuff online. You can post Remember I talked about campaign finance. So you can do all of that online. It's super, super easy to do. The setup is a little complex, and I'll cover that in another video. I'll walk you guys through it. But it's once you get it set up, you just go in, you fill in the drop down boxes, super simple. For local and county level, you're going to have to fill out a paper form, take it to the courthouse, turn it in. Make sure you have the deadlines, guys. Make sure you follow the deadlines, because the election board here, they're serious about deadlines, and they take it very seriously. It wasn't like that for a long time, and a lot of people got away with a lot of stuff. There should be a lot more eyes on what's going on in our elections. However you feel about how fair or this or that it is, I think we would all agree that a greater degree of transparency would benefit all of us. Now, that said, I'm going to tell you guys what I personally learned when I ran for office. First of all, you're not going to be taken seriously. If you're not in the political arena, if you haven't attended whatever local political stuff there is, then when you first put your name in there, I don't want to call it the establishment, right? But the people that participate, the people that go to precinct meetings, the people that follow as of 2020, I had never been to my county party meetings. I didn't even know anyone in the county party. I assumed that they were all just like these people on TV that I saw. They're not, by the way. There are I've made some really good friends. They're regular people, just like you and me. They're trying to make a difference. Some of them are they're a little old school insofar as they, kind of set in their ways, maybe don't necessarily agree with the way the new blood views things, but most of them are genuinely good people. That said, you're not going to be taken seriously. Just be prepared for that and understand that they'll come around, right? The problem is, I've heard from a number of people that you get these people, they run for office, they lose, and then they vanish. They don't get involved, they don't care, or they'll come around just long enough to try to garner some votes, and then they'll go away. Or especially if they get elected, they really disappear. Get involved, and I cannot stress this enough, guys. Get involved with your local county party. Whatever political affiliation you are, get involved and learn. These people are an excellent resource. Many of them have been around. Like, for example, in the LaPorte County Party, there's someone who used to campaign for Ronald Reagan. They've been around for a very, very long time. They can be a little abrasive at times. When you've been around that long, you've seen a lot of people come and go. So we don't necessarily agree on everything, but they're a wealth of information on stuff, and they truly do know a lot. This is just my advice. You do it however you want, but make sure your ducks in a row. You have your ducks in a row when it comes to election finance reports. Make sure that all that stuff is accurate. You do not want to even open the door for those kind of problems. And I think it's endemic of much larger issues with campaign finance, right? What's so-called dark money coming out of nowhere. It can be disconcerting. It can be a very negative image. So you want to make sure all that stuff is transparent, cool, good to go. Pay attention. Like, for example, on the majority of stuff, and look, listen, I'm going to give the standard disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an election official. This is what I've learned, may be different from what you know or what you learned. Now, I cannot stress enough that there are going to be negative people, regardless of what party that you I guess identify with, run as. You're going to have people from the other party. You're going to have people unaffiliated that are going to say some horrific stuff. It is an age of unbridled negativity. People just say the most crazy stuff online that they would never, ever say to your face. You got to let you. That's my number one, I guess, after that's number two. After make sure that your campaign finance stuff is sorted, ignore the trolls. Ignore the negative comments. If you do it right, I'm going to walk you guys through the process. But if you do it right, you'll have a social media presence. You're going to get people that come on there and say just the most outlandish stuff, make the most outlandish claims simply because of your party affiliation. I ran as a Republican, so of course I'm this, and this. And again, it is what it is. I don't care what people have to say. If you're going to run for office, you're going to have to realize that especially if elected, people are going to make memes about you. They're going to say some crazy stuff. That's just part of what it is. When you run for office, you put yourself in the public arena. Unfortunately, some people were not hugged enough as a child, and so they're just a big ball of negativity. They say some awful stuff. Now, there's going to be people who tell you that, oh, you have to talk to this person. You have to recruit this person. You have to get permission from this person. None of that is accurate. The Constitution of the state that you live in determines your eligibility for certain offices. Read it, become familiar with it, and then go to your Secretary of State's office and read that. Like I said, it's one of the few instances where Google is your friend. Now, that said, Google something and then verify it at the actual website, whether it's Secretary of State, whether it's the State Department, whatever. Look at the Constitution itself. Look at the rules. I'm going to give you guys an example, right? So let's see. I ran for state rep, so we're going to use that. All right. So what are the requirements in Indiana? Requirements to run for state representative, right? Now, you're probably going to get this AI thing. It says a candidate must be at least 21 years old, live in the district they wish to represent for at least 1 year, and be registered to vote. There are also various filing requirements depending on whether you run as a major party, independent, or minor party candidate. That's all pretty accurate. So it's going to go down through here, blah, 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 blah. But indy.gov, right here, it tells you how to get your name listed on the ballot. Indiana Election Division has many resources available to candidates, including forms needed to officially run for office, report donations and expenditures, disclose financial holdings, etc. For nearly all positions, you need to open a campaign finance committee to handle all the campaign's contributions and expenses. Find details in the Indiana Campaign Finance Manual, which, by the way, is super thick. You don't need all of that information. Now, here is the rub. If this is important, if you are seeking nomination from a major political party, aka Democrat or Republican, you will initially be part of the Indiana primary election held in May. The major political party nominees, along with third party, minor party, and write-in candidates, will be part of the general election in November. Contact your local political party to learn about its specific requirements. And again, when I say get involved with your local county party, that's what I'm talking about. Go to them, learn what you need to do. I will tell you what you need to do. But let's go back to this real quick. If you want to run it as an independent, right? Let's say you don't identify with either the Republican or the Democrat Party, and you just want to be an independent. If you are an independent or minor party candidate and want to run for federal, state, or local office, you must first collect a specified number of signatures from registered voters in your election district. So you have to learn the numbers that are necessary, but some of them are quite high, like especially for federal office. If you want to run for like senator, you have to get I think like 5,000. I don't know the numbers. You'd have to look it up. It's a lot, but it from each area. So right here, let's go back. So it says write-in candidates, filing documents, and finance reports. To make sure your name appears on the ballot, file your completed candidate paperwork and finance committee reports for the office you are seeking. For example, state rep. In order to run for state representative, and I'm using that as an example because that's what I ran for and what I know the most about. I ran for it twice. In the general election, both times, you have to fill out your paperwork, which is a Can 1 form. Sorry, Can 2. Can 1 is I'm on the Secretary of State's website right here. Can 2, declaration of candidacy for a primary election in 2026. So you fill out your Can 2, and you have to take that to Indianapolis, the state capital. That's just how it is. So prepare for that. If you can't even drive to Indianapolis to drop off a form, you're going to have a hard time winning a state rep race, but that's another thing. So let's talk about the various things that I learned. You're going to be told, you need to talk to this person. And I recommend talking to as many people as you can. There's nothing wrong with a conversation, even if it's someone who, let's say, has nefarious intentions or is going to make you an offer you can't refuse kind of thing. Talk to everyone. Let's face it, especially people that live in your district. I recommend personally knocking doors. Absolutely go to people's houses that you're running for to represent and meet them. Absolutely meet them. You also want to set up social media accounts specific to that office. In other words, yeah, sure, you can use your personal Facebook if you want to announce that you're running for office, but I personally recommend that you set up a separate one. And once elected, if you're using that official Facebook, you can't go around blocking people just because they're trolls. Supreme Court ruled on that. That's another reason why I recommend that you have two separate. You can block whomever you want on your personal social media. But if you're using your personal social media as your, platform for announcing government business, for keeping people informed, you can't block people. So just set up a separate one. It's not hard. It's actually pretty simple. You can learn how to do that quite easily. I'm not going to get into that, but just take the time. I had a website as well. Websites anymore are not really super necessary. They're useful, especially if you want to use it for fundraising and stuff like that, which I'll do another video. I used WinRed. They've gotten some negative press, but overall, it wasn't bad. I was able to get donations via WinRed. It did most of the work for me. It's pretty straightforward. But one of the best pieces of advice that I received when I ran for office was don't use your own money. You don't just hand money to your campaign. You can loan money to your campaign, And some of you may need to do that. But if you're running for an office like state rep, but especially something like U.S. Congress or a really big office, you're going to want to do an exploratory committee, and you're going to want to find out if people even want to donate to you before you do this, because it's a quick way to go broke to run for office and use your own money. It just is. I was intending to donate money to my campaign because I had some, not a lot. I've never been rich, but I had a little bit of money that I had saved up, and I detest asking people for money. I hate begging people for money. If you guys go back and look, I did it a couple of times because you have to. You're going to have to ask, unless you're a millionaire. If you're a millionaire, then by all means, knock yourself out. Self-finance your campaign, go for it. Most of us are not. Do that step. Create an exploratory committee, and the campaign finance requirements are very different too for federal than they are for state. So be aware of that. That said, I truly hope that I see many, many, many more of you on the primary ballot for offices. But one of the reasons why I say to get involved with your local party. So in certain counties, there are absolutely atrocious public officials, people who should not be there. I'm sure some of you can think of someone that's like, oh my God, we have got to get rid of this person. Now, in Indiana, we don't have a recall. So once some moron is elected, they stay elected unless they commit a felony, and that process takes a while anyway. And you got to find a prosecutor willing to do it and all this. But let's assume for a moment that there is someone in your area that is absolutely atrocious and they are awful and everybody wants to run against them. Unfortunately, we have an epidemic of what I call uninformed or low information voters. The vast majority of people who go into a ballot box have no idea who any of these people are. The most they might recognize is your really big offices like president, senator, stuff like that. But the local stuff, they're just checking names because it sounds good, because they're the first one, which if you have a higher name alphabetically, or I don't know, higher, lower, if you're higher on the ballot position, if you're the first one listed, you actually will get 10% more votes simply because of that position on the ballot, because a lot of people just click the first one. I really wish you do not have to, and we've talked about this before, you do not have to pick every single race. You don't have to vote for every single race. It's okay to leave it blank. You don't have to fill out every box on it. There are some people that are awful. Get with your local party. Find out, is there a primary challenger? Is it someone you can get behind? Is it someone you can help? Are there 6 people? Because here's the point that I was making earlier, is when you have a lot of people running for a single position, name recognition wins almost every time. Almost every time. The more people you have running for a position, the more likely the incumbent, which means the person who's already in office, is going to stay. That's why I highly recommend that you just go meet the people. Meet your local office or your local political party. Find out, hey, and I'm going to pick a random name, it's no one in particular, is Bob still going to run next time? Oh, yeah, he's running for re-election. Well, is there anyone that's going to challenge him? Because Bob sucks. And then they'll, maybe tell you, maybe not. But then you can make the decision. If they go, yeah, we're trying to get just one person to go against Bob because He has a lot of name recognition. He's been there since, 1946. So he tends to win because of that name. Coordinate. A lot of times, just another person going out knocking doors can make all the difference in the world. I cannot stress that enough. Knock doors, whatever you're running for, whether it's mayor, whether it's state rep. Just bear in mind that the bigger the office you run for, the more doors you got to knock. When I ran for Congress, I genuinely didn't realize how huge of an area that was. And yeah, it was a lot of doors. I knocked a lot of doors. I talked to a whole lot of people. And I'm going to tell you, forget political party for a second. Most of us want the same stuff, guys. We really do. You get those wackadoodles that, are focused on a single thing, whatever that is, but the vast majority of us just want a safe neighborhood where we can raise our kids, enjoy our lives, and tell the government to F off. Just saying, that is the vast majority of us. You're going to get, okay, so back up just a moment. So whatever office you decide to run for, you're going to get those people who think, number one, who think they know better than you do, and who think that they can offer you an amazing amount of information. You may or may not get people that tell you, this particular group, go talk to them. Endorsements. Let's talk about endorsements. So endorsements are people or groups that decide you're who they're picking, right? And they hand out an endorsement, and basically they're telling people, hey, we think he's a good person. We think they're solid. We plan on voting for him. Ta-da. People are very mixed as to how much weight an endorsement carries. It's hard to say. It really is. But one thing that I found is there's nothing wrong with seeking an endorsement because it allows you to talk to more people. Go to pancake breakfast. Talk to people. That's the single best thing that I can offer as far as advice. Talk to people. Learn what's on their mind. And use social media. Don't live on social media, but use social media. There was actually a really good article. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Rules for I put in rules for social media as a candidate. Of course, AI says candidate for public office are subject to various federal and state rules regarding social media use, in addition to common ethical guidelines. Key areas of regulation include financial disclosures, content accuracy, and the separation of campaign and official government accounts, like I told you before. But there is, let's see, is this it? Oh, wait, I think this might be Royal Pharmaceutical. Okay, this might be it right here. Okay, so no, that's just for that particular one. But in general, yeah, I don't see it. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it. In general, don't post anything on there that is not 100% true and accurate. I used it to keep people updated on how my campaign was going, the things that I believed in, and the way that I would vote when certain things were presented, right? Let's say a law was currently being discussed in the chamber. What's my take on this? Do I believe in this? Do I disagree with it? How would I vote if I was in office at that time? That was just me personally. Like I said, I also kept people informed as to my campaign progress. Hey, having a meet and greet here. I'm doing this. Be very, very careful with the sharing of rage bait, right? You guys know what rage bait is. If not, you can Google it. Be very careful with that. Yes, it can create, I guess, buzz, right? They say any press is good press. I would argue against that, but it's up to you. Just make sure that you follow the law. More importantly, above everything else, learn. If you can spend a few minutes, I guess, just learning the ins and outs of different platforms and use different platforms. Different people pay attention to Facebook than pay attention to Twitch or X, or there's a bunch of them now, but the main ones. I don't think you should spend 6 months trying to make sure you have a single or an account for every single social media platform out there. Make sure you hit the major ones. And then, get your little business cards, put your little info on it, try to tie them all together. Generally, it's, name for whatever state or county, right? So let's say your name is, Buck Harder for LaPorte County, Harder for Indiana, whatever, right? So it's pretty straightforward in that regard. Don't let it intimidate you. It is the biggest thing. It can seem, oh my God, this is so much to remember. This is so much to do. It is, but it's not. In most circumstances, for one, it depends on what state you live in and the area. It depends on how important a particular position is. Here in Indiana, we have mostly part-time legislators, people that have a real job, quote, real job, and then do this stuff part-time, because Indiana has always wanted to be a small government state. That doesn't apply to like mayors and stuff like that usually, but some do. In that regard, you don't really need a campaign manager, and you don't need to pay people a bunch of money. You're going to get all kinds of offers too. You're going to get people that tell you, oh, hey, I can run your campaign for an exorbitant amount of money and, make sure you get elected. Make sure that you know that this person is legit. Make sure that you understand everything that they're offering and whether or not they can even promise it to you. It can seem like a lot, and in some cases it is, but we have to demystify the system. We have to get people out there into our offices, our local legislators, our local people that know what the hell is going on. We have to get people that are regular people. Look at the state of our country, guys. It may be getting better, it may be getting worse, but either way, it's not great right now. There are many issues on many levels, and the only way we're going to fix it is by getting regular people into these offices and taking the government back from the ones that, let's just say, do not have our best interests at heart. I hope this has been in some way, degree, shape, or form informative for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to discuss it. I'm not perfect. I messed up a couple of times. I had a couple of late reports. I struggled in the beginning to understand, okay, so what is all this finance stuff? What is a campaign expense? What's not a campaign expense? In general, anything you do running for office that truly affects that can be counted. We have, for example, our Secretary of State and our Lieutenant Governor bought new vehicles with campaign funds. Can you do that? Yeah, it's legal because you're using it for the campaign. They were able to raise enough money to do so. Good for them. I might have been able to get a Yugo with my campaign funds. Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. Look, I didn't need a new vehicle. I used mine. It was fine. You're going to be doing a lot of driving if you do it right. I get it, but you can agree, you can disagree, but make sure you understand the rules. I guess that's the number one thing. Make sure you understand the rules. They're not, if you just take it step by step, they're not as complicated as they want you to believe they are. That's the number one thing in regard to the rules. They are not as bad as people make them out to be. Just take your time, take a breath, and get your name out there. Start, like, for example, if you want to run for city council, for example, which is a really good stepping stone. City council, school board, stuff like that is a good way to start off and get your name out there, get people to know who you are. Go to meetings, go to public comment, speak up, say what's on your mind. There you go. That's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that this has been in some way, shape, or form informative. I do have another video tomorrow night. Sean is going to be back. Yay! There's a whole lot that has happened since the last video, and we're going to cover quite a bit. But let me get this up here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. For example, we're going to talk about Argentina and the fact that the United States bought a whole bunch of currency, like $1 billion worth of the currency. Why? Why did they do that? I don't know. Oh, there it is. I don't know. We're going to talk about the redistricting. Why is Indiana redistricting? Do we want it or not? We're going to talk about, obviously, Charlie Kirk, the Qatar, and an air base here in the United States. We have ICE here in Chicago. We're hearing a lot about that. The Trump administration shooting at what they call drug smugglers from Venezuela, definitely Venezuelan boats, and a whole lot more. So I hope you'll join us tomorrow night, and see you then. As always, 7:00 Central. And God bless you. God bless Indiana. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a great evening. Good night.